Yes.
Here always.
The live chat settings. Oh, how are you this morning?
I'm okay. I'm here.
Yep, we're
Yeah,
here.
we're here.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
I was telling Michelle I had flooring show up at my house at 9 o'clock with no warning.
Yeah.
So many people know I had plumbing issues, and it's just been this saga, and I'm very ready.
It's always a saga.
Oh, you know what? And it makes me appreciate the plumber that we used was the Irish plumber.
Yeah.
So local,
Gotcha.
so good, incredibly communicative. Like explained everything that was going on. Took the time to answer all my questions. Let us know exactly, how many days when things were running over. Was like, no, we're gonna have to come back. So like the communication really makes a difference.
It does.
So
anytime you get an insurance company involved, though, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah. I know you've said before about your car being written off.
Yeah, I was in a car accident a while ago. It would have been 2012, and my car was written off, and I had to get it insured, like go through the insurance. I didn't know it was going to be written off. I actually drove it to the auto body place.
Oh, yeah.
And they had to assess it. And the guy comes out with his clipboard and he's like, oh, no. There's more damage than needed. Or than I expected. So, yeah, but it took a bit. But you know what you need to know about cars and insurance. And when they write off your car, they have to value your car. They say, it's this much, worth this much. This is how much we're going to give you for it. I bought my car. It was a Honda Fit. And I bought it for $5,800 from this really old lady who just couldn't drive anymore. And it had like no kilometers on it. And I had only driven it for like a year. Aww. I was so sad because it was like my first really nice car, because my dad is a mechanic. He runs his own auto shop. And so he would just buy me like beaters and stuff. And like, so it was my first nice car. And then I got into an accident anyways. But they gave me $11,000 for it. And I only paid $5,800, and they were only going to give me $10,000. And I said, no, it's worth more than that. And they were like, okay, yeah, it is. So,
okay.
Yeah, so you have to negotiate with
your insurance company.
Yeah, very much so. But you have to know a bit about the value.
What you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was super lucky. So then I bought a brand new car.
There you go. That's a smart choice.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Long weekend coming up.
Oh my God. Yeah.
We're gonna be closed on Monday. And we've got something a little fun happening this weekend in store and online. We'll see how fast it goes.
Yeah, we've never done this before. So
no.
We're
we're doing a single skein sale. So any yarn that we have where we only have one skein left is going to be on sale.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be about 25% off.
Yeah.
And there'll be one listing, so everything will just be listed in one
on the website,
thing on the website,
and that includes
Mad Tosh is in there. There's
like everything, all of our yarn, anything that's single skein
that's
left.
Just one skein left
of one color. So
So there's some Mota in there, and I'm including. We've got a bunch of shawl kits because they're all individual, and so all of those are going to be on sale, and they're all Mad Tosh too. Yeah. So that's going to be fun, and I'll probably start it in store and online at the same time. So it's fair for everybody. Yes, so it'll start at 11 o'clock on Saturday, and it'll be just on Saturday.
Yeah. So
Saturday only. If you miss out, you miss out.
Don't sleep on it.
By 11 o'clock, you should be up out of bed by 11 o'clock.
No, I meant like don't sleep on the sale.
No, it's true, but you should also be up out of bed by 11.
Well, you should.
There's some people that don't.
I would like to sleep in. I can't anymore.
My kids yelled at me last weekend on Mother's Day for sleeping in until 8 o'clock.
I slept until 9. It was lovely. Although I don't sleep the whole time, but it's like
no, but to be in bed and not having to.
Since having kids, I just can't really sleep in anymore.
No, same.
Because my son is a morning owl, and a morning bird kind of kid, and he's up as soon as he can be. We had to get him a clock that says you can't get up yet.
Please.
Yeah, and then I heard him this morning at like 20 after 6.
Oh.
And he's just in his room, and he's just puttering around in there.
Yep.
But yeah.
The cat tried to get me up at 4:45, 5 o'clock, something like that, because she was hungry, and I was like, this is not happening, and I kicked her out. And then apparently she was running up and down the halls, and she tried to like break into my eldest's room.
Oh
and
my gosh.
yeah,
Cats. Yeah.
she's being, and then as soon as I got out of bed at like 6:45, she was like, it's like, yes, I hear you. You're
so funny.
She's so funny.
I miss having a kitty.
Yeah,
we're really talking about getting one.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw a post from the Ottawa Humane Society saying they have so many cats right now.
Do they?
Because it's time for the babies to be born. Because of, nature is cyclical and seasonal, and so all the babies are coming now, and they have too many. They said they got 83 in like the last 2 days.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot of kittens.
That's a lot of kittens and cats, and
they need a home.
So I'm like, well, maybe we get one. Yeah. I want a big orange male cat. That's what I want.
You would be the third person on staff with a big orange male cat.
I know. I used to have like a male who was like beigey, and he was a good kitty. And then my last one was a tuxedo kitty, and he was all fancy in his little tuxedo.
Mine is a tuxedo kitty.
Yeah.
We say that she's the site supervisor. She always comes dressed correct for the job.
Yeah. Bert was so funny. He was his name was Bert. And so but he was always fancy, but he had a double coat. He had some purebred in him. And so if you like pushed back his fur, he had like gray underneath, and he had a double coat. It was very interesting and very soft. Oh my God, so soft.
Nice.
Anyways,
the first findings from H&H have arrived.
So we were looking for scissors when we went to H&H because people love scissors, and so we were looking for.
Those are nice.
These are lovely. So these are a lovely stainless steel scissor. We were looking for something in a lower price point, and we found these. So they only come in 8 inches, but they have this lovely blue color.
Yeah.
And they're only $34.99.
That's nice.
So and they're a really nice scissor. They're made in Pakistan, but the company is from Chicago.
Okay.
And so they're really nice. And so we've got 4 different finishes. We have
rainbow,
another finish.
obviously.
This is rainbow. This is really pretty. Yeah. So if you're looking for a nice scissor that's not going to break the bank,
if you've got someone who's just starting out, this would be a great, or a kiddo who needs a pair. Because we got a lot of kids who sew.
And you don't necessarily want to give them
a rotary cutter or your
really, really nice scissors. They also had duckbill scissors.
Everyone has been asking about duckbill scissors. I love mine.
I have a set of duckbills and I love them. They're really good for trimming your seam allowances. If you do a lot of lingerie making, they're perfect for trimming your seam allowance when you've attached the elastic and stuff.
Yeah, because of the shape of the blade, you can get them, and you can get them really, really close to the fabric without cutting through the fabric. They're great for embroidery too. If you do any sort of like textural embroidery.
Have you seen those little videos
with
where they put
eyes,
an eye on there, like googly eye, and then he's like
cutting and he's like eating the thing.
Oh my God, I love it.
Super cute.
These are $22.99.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
And the last thing we got from this company are some snips, embroidery thread or embroidery scissors.
Little snip. I have like
they
so many pairs.
Yeah, they come in a really nice little leather case, and they're
they're like this. Are they the stork?
This is the stork one. So, a while ago I was like, why are they storks?
And you read about it.
So I was like, well, I gotta do a deep dive, so I'm gonna tell you about it. So it has to do with midwives.
Okay.
So back in the day, midwives would need scissors for their procedures.
Yeah.
And so they often would have storks because storks and babies.
Yeah.
Apparently, storks bring babies.
Mm-hmm.
So they had, so there is a bit of an evolution. So what they started out as were clamps.
Okay.
They started it as clamps so they could clamp the umbilical cord and various things. And then they kind of evolved into these little embroidery scissors because, I don't know, you've had kids.
Yes.
I've had kids. It takes a long time usually to go through the process. And so midwives would also embroider. And so they would take their embroidery kit and their midwife kit with them so that they had something to do. And often they would keep them together in one kit. So eventually what started out as clamps moved over into embroidery into the scissors. So that's super cool. I love how stuff like that just evolves.
Yeah, I guess you're doing all the work. The midwife doesn't have to sit there and be bored. Those ones are cute.
Isn't that nice? Yeah.
I love the shape of the handle.
Yeah, isn't that really fun? Yeah. There's about 6 different shapes. So,
oh, fun.
Yeah, 6 different shapes of those.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. We also got a restock of Megan Nielsen patterns. A lot of people have been asking about the Hovea jacket. We had a nice sample of this in boiled wool.
It looked unrecognizable because it was out of boiled wool.
Yes. So there's 2 size ranges in print available. The eucalypt tank, this is only the 0 so they do have the larger size range.
But PDF
but not,
only.
Yeah, in print, unfortunately.
The only the really popular, I think only the Hovea has it in the larger size range.
Yeah, I don't know.
The eucalypt tank is really nice because if you decide to put the seam in the front as well as the back, you can make it out of like no fabric.
Yeah, I think it's like a meter.
View B, which is the one where you got the 2 seams, and oh no, they just put a seam in the back. They don't put a seam in the back, but yeah, it you don't need hardly any fabric.
No.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then these are 2 of my favorite. I have everyone who's like, Katie, what are you wearing?
It's one of these.
It's one of these often. So the Brumby skirt, I've made it where it's not the big pocket, like they've got big sort of pockets.
Like the big pockets.
I love the big pockets. I've just put inseam pockets in a couple of mine. So I've made this several times. And then the Flint pants are like an absolute favorite. They are so comfortable. I've made them out of 2 pairs out of silky linen wool and 1 pair out of tencel twill. And they're fantastic and very on trend with the like wide leg crop.
Yeah,
there's a shorts version, and you can do it as a tie or a button closure, so you're not futzing around with zipper flies. I know a lot of people
there's
are
no
like,
zipper fly in them.
yeah, a lot of people are like, I'm not doing zippers.
Yeah, for some reason people are afraid of zippers.
Yeah, I don't know. Zippers can be scary. The other one, these came out a while ago, but are just newly in print.
So what we're finding is a lot of pattern companies are releasing their patterns in PDF first, and then about 2 to 6 months later releasing them in the paper pattern.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of people are moving towards sewing with just PDFs and not with...
I'll admit I'm a PDF person. I buy all my patterns in PDF.
I haven't bought a pattern in a long time.
Oh my god, I can't stop buying patterns.
I just sew the same like 3 things.
I feel bad about doing that. So I have bought in the last month, I think I've bought like 7 patterns.
Oh my gosh, Michelle. What have you bought?
I bought the Sid tie top dress.
Okay.
I bought the this new dress called the Day dress.
Ooh.
And it's got this really cool ties here with some gathers. Yeah. And it's just like a shift. What else did I buy? Oh, I bought 2 patterns from So Liberated. I bought their new pinafore pattern.
Yes.
And I bought their Joni shirt, which is like a camp shirt.
Yeah.
But it's got seams in the back, so you can shape it.
Nice.
I bought, oh my gosh, what else did I buy? I bought something. Oh, and I bought this woven shirt from Etsy, and it's got like a little button detail. Oh, but it looked like really... Tanya's also addicted to buying patterns in PDF.
I used to buy a lot of patterns in PDF, but I find that I'm just not I don't have as much time to sew as I used
I don't
to.
Either.
And I'd rather buy fabric and sew the things that I know I love and fit my body than buy patterns. Yeah. So
I just buy the ones that I know that I don't have to fit very much. So I'm like, yeah, that's fine.
I did trace a pattern I've had for a while, and I'm sewing it right now. So does that count? I guess.
So yeah.
Oh, that's a lie. I bought a pattern when I was in Montreal last weekend, but it was a print pattern. It was a deer and doe pattern. Someone had
still had deer and doe.
Yeah, and it was a pattern I was looking for, and I'm like, yep. I'm getting this, and it was it was cheap. It was like $20.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because they were clearing out their stuff.
I wonder if they're gonna bring them back into print.
I wonder with closet core. I hope maybe some of the the more
popular
popular ones.
Yeah.
Closet core, if you're watching our video,
please
bring Deer and Doe back into print.
People love them.
We were talking last night. I was teaching the fringe dress, which is one of the patterns that I just keep sewing.
Yes.
Because people were asking about a good jumpsuit pattern, and myself and one of the other students was like Sirocco. Hands down, Sirocco is
which
like
is a Deer and Doe.
A Deer and Doe, and it's like it's a knit jumpsuit. There's no closures. You like go into the front of it.
Yeah, it has like a crossover bodice.
It's got a crossover bodice. It's like super easy to fit.
Yeah. It looks fancy too.
It looks fancy. Like
you can dress it up.
Dressed
really
it up.
easily.
Dressed it down. I've done it out of like Ponte. I've done it out of cotton jersey. I've done it out of French terry. So many options.
And I like how you can also color block it, so the top can be one fabric, the bottom can be another.
Yes, I've done that a couple of times. I've got the one with the floral
I hate
Star Wars.
jumpsuits, so I will never ever make it, but I like it on other people.
I've done it sleeveless for the summer. Like
the fact that when you go to the bathroom, you've got to take it all off and you're practically naked. I just can't get my head around that.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
True Bias has a new jumpsuit pattern.
Do they?
Yeah, that new one that Danielle pointed out is a jumpsuit and a dress.
Yes, I like the dress version,
I
and I like the
how
back.
they have a tie.
Yeah.
You can do like just a zipper, or you can do a tie. Yeah.
I've never sewn a True Bias pattern.
Really?
Yeah, I've never done True Bias, and the Austin dress is the first time I've done a grain line pattern.
I've sewn a couple grain line.
Yeah,
I like how grain line doesn't have a lot of ease in their patterns. Like they fit how you want them to fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've sewn the Ogden by True Bias. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never sewn. I know the Ogden's like a tried and true for a lot of people, and I've never.
It's really good because it takes no fabric too.
Well, and it's like it's such a basic piece that you can do so many things.
And you can do it with so many different fabrics and stuff. Yeah, tons of stuff. Yeah.
No, I'm excited to the Austin. I liked the grain line instructions, and the Austin dress was really nice. The sew along is starting this Tuesday.
I'm thinking about making the Austin.
I think it's got a lot of buttons.
So I asked you what size you traced. Yes, because I was thinking maybe I could just use your trace. But
no, and the size that I did, I think I went too big. I think I need to actually trace.
Grain line's fairly like true to size, so you have to like really go by your measurements.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is so cute. Caitlin did a really cute video, and Madeline, our co-op student, sewed it up. It's got little pockets in the front. It's like a little bow.
It's a bow. It's an arc.
It's an arc, and you can,
There are more animals. We didn't. We didn't do all the animals.
Here.
No, well, we ran out of some stuffing.
Oh.
But you know what I would have liked is if they had distinguished the male and the female.
Me.
But that's just being picky.
Yeah. So this is
and I love how it tells you. That's the hippopotamus.
Alligator. And if you purchase this, it's a bingo square.
That's right. If you purchase a panel, it's a spot on the bingo card.
Yeah.
Look at these little
monkeys. Yeah.
Monkey.
So super cute. There's this and there's we were showing it last week, the other one.
We have tons of panels right now.
Yeah, we do. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, there's
five,
a book
6,
that
7.
goes with this collection.
Yeah, we showed the book last week.
And we've got tons of panels. So
yeah.
I want to get that advent calendar panel.
The nice thing about this is that it's washable.
It is washable. You could just throw the whole thing into the wash because
kids are gross.
Kids are messy and gross.
Yeah.
They throw up on everything.
I think the biggest news this week was that the Boku collection has arrived. A lot of people have been asking about this.
How beautiful this is. So I thought these would look so nice as a bag together.
They would look amazing as a bag. You could make a really nice firefly.
You could do firefly. You could do the new oxbow because you could do this as the accent or vice versa.
Yeah.
Harrelson would look lovely with the Harrelson with like an accent panel for the top, like this.
Yes.
Oh my God, so many things,
so many options.
I love this
one, and then
there's I think there's 3 of
There's
each
3
color, except for the leaves where there's 4.
Yeah.
This
This
is another
one,
print.
I know this is like very typical.
There's 3 prints, yeah.
Yeah. And these 2 would be a great.
Yeah, just another colorway. I love pink, so here we go.
Yes.
Pink. Love it. It's so pretty.
But I think even like
this, it all kind of goes together
Yeah.
in some way, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots. Oh.
So
I haven't
this is
decided
a
what I want to make
cotton
of it.
linen canvas.
Cotton linen canvas. Now it is cotton linen canvas, but you can use it for a lot of different things. You can use it for bags. It would make a lovely pair of pants.
The Flint pants.
Or overalls.
Yep.
You could totally make
jacket.
Jacket.
Yeah.
It would make a really nice Ilford jacket.
Yeah.
Or all sorts of different jackets. So
Yeah.
It's really versatile.
Bucket
actually.
hat.
Bucket hats.
Yeah.
Maybe Lana will buy
some to make a. I think the colors are too muted for her. I think she's a very.
Well, she often tailors it to her person.
This
that
is
she's
true.
Giving the bucket
This
hat
is
to,
true.
because how many bucket hats can one person have?
Well, Lana apparently had like 9 bucket hats when she was growing up.
Oh my gosh, she was talking about that, and then I was thinking about when I was growing up, and remember Blossom was so big?
Yes,
and,
and
those
the hats
with like the big flowers.
Yes.
So I had a couple of those, but I always felt weird wearing them because it was a lot of hat.
It is a lot of hat.
And so I would like attempt to wear it, and then I would get self-conscious and be like, no, I can't wear it.
I've never been a hat person because with curly hair, like it just it doesn't does me no favors. I'm just noticing there's like a praying mantis on this.
There is.
Look right there. Praying mantis.
And there's
all sorts of other little bugs.
There's a bird.
There's a bird.
This guy.
Oh my God! There's a bird. Where did he go?
Where is he on the front there? I don't.
Oh, right there. Yes, he is. Yeah, right there. There's a bird. Well, that's why I grabbed this one because I was like, oh, look at the
birds.
It
is called Hidden Thicket.
Yes. So the birds and the bugs are hiding in the thicket.
Oh, there's a ladybug.
Yes. Yeah, I saw the ladybugs originally.
Like other little bug.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Is that a snail?
No,
that's
a
like
flower.
part of a flower. Sorry. That's okay. And then just, a nice floral. This is a collection from Cloud9, and it is organic cotton.
Yeah, that's what's really nice about their fabrics. Is they're all organic.
And I think this is light enough that it would work really well as like shirting.
Oh,
so
totally.
If you were doing any kind of like button-up shirt or often dress,
often make
really well.
Clothes out of quilting cotton.
Yes.
So all the time. All the time. You just have to choose the right pattern.
You do. Yeah. You don't want anything that's really boxy because it will be very boxy. Unless you're going for that
you're going for that. Yeah, you just have to pick the right one.
Yeah.
And you can't have a pattern that needs a lot of drape because the fabric just
doesn't
drape the same way.
But
at first I thought these were airplanes, but they're birds.
They're birds. Birds are kind of like
airplanes. Well, they're nature's airplanes.
We were talking my son and we were talking about the aerodynamicness of birds and how airplanes are modeled on birds because
that's what you had to think of. Like,
yeah, they're like fly? Look, it's flying.
Birds,
I want to fly.
Yeah.
So, airplane birds.
Airplane birds.
So much too silly. Yeah, and I think we've got a couple of spaces next week in classes. There's like one space left in the ranunculus class, one space left in the Remy Raglan.
Yeah, the Remy's such a good class too.
Such a good class.
B's teaching it, and B is right.
So
B's
good.
It?
Yeah.
B's she's a font of knowledge. You will learn a lot.
And she's very patient.
Yes.
And
I love B
sweet.
So much. Oh my god.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and who's teaching the ranunculus is Emily.
Emily.
Again,
Emily.
font of knowledge.
Yes, indeed.
And class is always fun with her.
She has always a good time.
And then Sarah's teaching learn to fix your knitting mistakes.
Yeah. So if you need to know those skills.
Yeah, if you're sort of a newish knitter, fixing your mistakes can be intimidating.
Yeah, so I was teaching a class. What class was it? It was the Donny shirt a few weeks ago, and I had a few newer sewists in my class, and so of course some mistakes were made.
Yeah.
But I was showing them how to fix them, and they were like, "That's what I need to know."
Yeah.
Because I will be sewing at home, I'll make a mistake, and I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah.
And she goes, this is so helpful. I now know what to do next time. So
I was helping Madeline.
Oh, yes, I
'cause
saw
she was
some.
sewing a sample, and she's like, "Oh, I cut the wrong piece." I'm like, just cut the right piece out of that piece that
Yeah.
you just cut. Like, it's not a big deal. And she's like, "Oh, yeah."
So she was cutting out a sample for us, and she ran out of fabric.
Oh no.
And so she's like, "Here's what I have left, and here's what I need to cut out." And it was just like a panel for a skirt.
Yeah.
And so I said, "Guess what? You're just gonna put a seam in it."
Yeah.
And this is how you do it. You just add seam allowance, and you're just gonna put a seam in it. She's like, "Oh, yeah, okay.
yeah. I can do
And
that.
I was like, "This is what comes from using not enough fabric."
Yes,
to make
yes.
your
Well, and Eleanor
garments.
had just sewed herself a skirt, and she was like, "I ran out of fabric for the waistband." I'm like, "Just the back waistband." I'm like, "Put a seam in it."
Yeah.
Like, just cut 2 pieces and put a seam in it,
Yeah.
and no one's gonna notice.
No one will even see that seam.
Yeah,
No.
there's so many ways to, like, fudge it. My
Yeah.
students last night, one of the back pieces was a little bit short, then like minuscule. I'm like, just stretch it to fit. Like,
Yeah.
it'll be okay. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah. It's just, you just stretch the
it to
fabric,
fit.
and
Yeah.
you put the what you need to ease. You distribute it through the entire piece. Like, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's it.
The things you just
You just do.
you just
Yeah.
do to make it work, because better done than perfect is my
Yes,
philosophy.
yes. It's so hard when I teach, because I'm such a corner cutter, and
Me too.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna talk to you guys about what
This
this
is
is how we do it the
correct,
proper,
proper way.
and this is how I do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the one person, she was like, I'm gonna understitch, and the one person's like, I'm not gonna understitch. I'm like, I never understitch. I'm like,
You never understitch?
I almost, that's not true. I almost never understitch.
I usually always understitch, because I find it I understitched on this. It just turns things a little nicer.
It really depends,
It depends
on
on-
the fabric
yeah.
I'm using, on where they're asking me to
sure.
understitch. Like, this was all on the back neckline. I'm like, I don't care.
Well, I might
And
not
there's
have
so
done
many
that,
times
but,
too where I opt to not face a piece and use bias binding
Me
instead.
Me too.
And I
Yeah.
never understood bias binding.
Oh no, I very rarely do that, unless it's a really finicky fabric. Then I
Yeah,
might.
and that's the thing. So the one
Yeah.
person was using like a viscose challis, and I'm like, yeah, you probably want to understitch this.
Yeah.
And one person was using a fairly stiff linen, and I'm like, you can skip understitching.
Yeah. The amount of times I have taken facings or not used facing pieces in my garments.
Yeah.
Because I just like the look and finish of a bias tape much better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I hate facings.
Yeah.
With a passion.
Yeah.
I made a grain line pattern with facings. It was the Hadley.
Yes.
And it's a tank, and there's facings on the neck, and there's facings on the
No,
sleeve.
it's so
They pop
heavy,
out.
yeah.
What I did is I understitched them and everything, and then you have to top stitch a little bit away from the seam, and they still pop out.
Well, unless
And I hate it.
unless you're stitching that facing down,
Yeah.
it's
So
just
then
gonna,
I think I went back and I stitched the facing down, but now
now you've got this big seam.
Yeah.
there.
I mean, sometimes that's fine, but I don't know. I hate facing.
This is supposed to. This one does have a facing, and I did do the facing on this because because this T-shirt is supposed to be made with woven fabric, and then they're like, you can use stable knit, and I'm like, I'm gonna use bamboo.
Yes, the Hadley also has a facing for the hem, which I kind of really like for that, because that you do top stitch and stuff, and it just adds a nice weight to the hem.
And that's why I did it on this one, because I'm like, this is gonna need that weight, but it's supposed to have a facing in here, and I used bias tape because I was like, nope, this is, and I wanted a higher neckline too, so I didn't adjust the neckline.
Make a full lining. I've started to do this. I hate bias binding extra facing. Yeah. So this dress has a
This is
full.
Trillium.
This is the Trillium made by Ray with the expansion pack, which she no longer has available for the collar. But this has a full lining, and it just, you can finish the sleeve and the neckline all in one go, and it's quite nice. And it does the burrito method where you have to roll it up and then you pull it out.
See, and it really depends. There's so many things where I'm making that have some sort of collar, and so you can't put a full to fully line it.
Yes, you can. You just sandwich the collar
I
in
guess.
between.
Yeah.
It depends what kind of collar. So this is like an inseam. Like if you had like a
No,
shirt
like
collar,
a two-piece
you can't.
collar.
No, you can't
Yeah.
do that. But
So,
yeah.
But it's got like I guess a half lining. But again, it's it's that burrito method, and
my students, when we did the donning class, were amazed by the burrito method.
the first time you do it, it's a little bit magic, and you're like, and then you pull it, and you're like, oh.
Because I was like, oh, we're gonna do the burrito method, and they're like, we've heard about this, but we've never done it before, and so they were pretty excited.
Cool.
And then it really does look like a burrito.
It does, yes, it does. There's many times where I've done the burrito method and sewn things the wrong way around, and then had to unpick it and resew
my good God, Katie.
Just, sometimes my brain is like, I know what I'm doing, and then my hands are like, you don't know what you're doing.
That happened, yeah, because like we've both been sewing a long time, and so you're just like, yeah, well, I know what I'm doing, and then you're like, oh shoot,
I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, the number of times where I've started a new pattern, there's so many times where I don't read the instructions. I'll glance really quickly at like the diagrams and be like, yep, this.
So my thing when I first get a pattern is I will read through the instructions start to finish, and then I decide what I will do from their instructions and what I won't do, and I'll do my own way.
You're a better person than me.
Because how else will you know how it's constructed?
Well, you look at the picture, because I know how a shirt is constructed.
Yeah, I get that, but sometimes patterns do things a different way.
Well, you're right, and that's when I get to the point.
A better way.
That's when I get to the point where I'm like, oh, I really shouldn't have attached this sleeve like this, and then I have to go out and.
Maybe I just have less tolerance for those kinds of frustrations, so I'm like, I have to not do that.
Well, and in fairness, I have been sewing, like I said, the same 3 patterns.
Yes. Yeah, like if I get a basic pattern, I don't really need to I know how it's constructed. I can figure out step by step, but more complicated stuff.
The Pietra pants.
Yes.
Every single time. I have to read through the instructions of how that pocket is attached.
Yes,
it is so confusing, and I have to actually manipulate the fabric and pin it into place and make sure it's correct before I sew it into place, because it's almost like the pattern piece is upside down.
Yeah,
is the way my brain has made sense of it.
Sometimes you really have to kind of think things out, or if you can't picture it in your head, you've got to actually manipulate your fabric to
and we were talking about that last night. Sewing takes so much spatial awareness and the ability to turn something 2-dimensional into something 3-dimensional, and for a lot of people picturing that transition is really difficult.
It's difficult. So my husband and I, whenever we buy furniture that you have to put together, I put it together.
Yep.
Because he can't think in 3D. He can't take these pieces and figure out how they go together. So I always put everything together, and I credit it to sewing for so long.
100%.
I can look at pattern pieces and I know where they go and I know how they go together and what they're gonna look like.
I'm the one who puts stuff up on our walls because I know how to measure stuff properly and make sure it's straight and
We've got Owen's gotten into woodworking a little bit.
Oh, fun!
Because Thomas my son wants to build stuff. Zipper pockets to bags with directional fabric.
Yes.
Yeah. I always have to play it out and then flip it and figure it out. So he's been doing a lot of woodworking, and woodworking is all measurements, right?
Yes.
It's a lot like sewing, where you have to take measurements and then you cut pieces and then you put them together. So he's getting better, but we were talking about fractions and how you have to learn so many fractions.
Yeah.
And how to read a tape measure properly. Yep. And how it's very important to know all of those things. So I teach my seam finishes class.
Yes.
And we do oh my god, the French seams.
Yes.
And there's 2 ways to do them. So let's say your seam is 5/8 of an inch. Your seam allowance is 5/8 of an inch. You can sew a 1/4 inch. And then 3/8 of an inch. Together that equals 5/8.
Yes.
Or you can do 3/8, trim it down, and then do a 1/4.
Yeah.
And so you really have to think about adding.
Because a 1/4 inch is 2/8. You have to do that conversion.
Yeah.
Well, and cooking is like that. It's all
Well, my husband has a cooking background, so
But the relational mathematics is
Tanya says that she loves the metric system over the imperial system,
which would be,
I would have to say that metric is the superior system.
Yes,
but as we are Canadians, we live our lives
in
a mishmash of both.
Yeah.
Weight is in pounds.
Yep.
Distance is in kilometers.
Yeah.
Everything I sew is in imperial with inches and stuff because I don't sew a lot of European patterns.
Yeah. And the patterns I've really sewn are very very imperial based, and so what I'm comfortable and familiar with is working with imperial measurements. But absolutely, you get a better sense of size, and it's easier to do, moving things because you're dealing with a smaller incremental unit.
So Amanda just posted that she didn't think sewing would have so much math involved.
No,
or like it's the most annoying part is all the math, especially for quilting. Oh my
god, so much math.
So I was doing the quilt club the other night, and one of the people here was cutting out a quilt pattern, so she's cutting all of her pieces, and one of the squares, I kid you not, was like 3 1/32. I was like, why would you even do that as a quilt designer? Like that's cruel. You can't even see that on the rulers because the rulers only do, or no, it might have been 3/16 or anything. Anyways, we determined the rulers only do 8. Yeah, the rulers only do 8. So we determined it was between a 1/4 inch and a 3/8 of an inch. So she had to cut in between that, like in the middle. And I was like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like that.
Like it's not even worth it.
Would it be negligible? Like it's negligible when you're sewing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, or sometimes you end up with the direction to do like a scant.
Yeah. So that does like the turn of the cloth and stuff. Yeah. You need to do scant quarter. You know what I do is I just do regular 1/4 meter or 1/4 inch seams. And then if my block is just a tiny little bit smaller, it's fine because every other block is a tiny bit smaller. Yeah. Yep.
Oh well. Anyways, we should wrap up. We do talk too much. That's okay. Have a fantastic week, everyone. Keep your eye out. A good long weekend. Keep your eyes out for the newsletter with the single skein sale information, and we'll see you in store at some point.
Hopefully.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Bye.
Oh my god, I can't read.